Hi everybody, this is Cindy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome back to our channel. Today it's hot outside, so it's a good day to craft. Hotter than blazes, 102 degrees I think today. So I really wouldn't know because it's about 74 inside my house and I'm staying inside and I'm doing some crafting, and I thought I would share this little project with you and do a tutorial on this paper bag journal using a wine bag or a Baguette bag. And I originally saw this idea on a YouTube channel called Mad Paper Crush, and I will put her link below so you can check out her original tutorial. I've made some changes though to the way that I do this, and so I thought I would share the way I make this journal. So you can see this journal is super cute. It's about 6 inches by 4.5 inches tall, 6 inches wide, and I've just wrapped the bag around, and it's just one signature, and it doesn't alligator too much, but of course it does because I never know when to stop, and all of my projects are a little stuffed. So you can see it's just a paper bag and the back. So a pretty simple design. And I thought that's what we do today. I hope that you join me in this process. So I got a pack of these bags on Amazon, and I'll have the link for that below as well. But the bag is almost 17 inches long and about 4.5 inches wide. It does have a gusset, but I glue that shut at some point during the process because I want to use this as a pocket, but I didn't want to leave it wide and gaping and have it be too big and having stuff fall out. So the bag is flat on the bottom, and we're going to cut this end off anyway. So what we're going to do is start with the cutting, and let's go ahead and just cut off. Don't really need to measure. I'm going to cut just right at the fold of the bag, and I know some people are more precise than I am. I'm not. I eyeball things. It's about 1.25 inches is what I cut off, about 1.25 inches off the bottom. So now the bottom is open and the top is open, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to sew that down. So I think I am done with that for now. So I'll move that off to the side. And so the end that we just cut off, this is going to be over on the left. This will be the front cover, and this will be the back cover. So I want my journal to be about 6 inches wide. So I'm going to fold at about 6 inches, but I'm not going to crease it too much because I want it to be rounder. So I'm going to fold it there, and you'll see there's this much here on this end. I'm not going to cut that off because I want to have a pocket, like on my example here, a pocket and a tuck spot. So that's what we're going to do on the left side, or sorry, the right side, the back side. And I need to fold that at also approximately 6 inches from the fold. And that will give us a pocket, but I also want to have a little tuck spot, so I'm going to fold this over as well. And so then we'll have one pocket here and then a tuck spot here. And this I am going to crease using my bone folder. And using my glue stick, I'm going to kind of glue this down right here where all that extra paper is. You could cut that off if you want to, but I don't think that's necessary. It just gives it maybe a little bit more, well, fewer places to get things stuck in. And then I'm going to sew it down so I don't need to, glue any more at the moment. So that's the basic construction. Folding it at 6 inches from the left, and then folding it again from that 6-inch mark, fold it again at another 6 inches, and then fold basically, that's about an inch actually, just another inch right there to make another little tuck spot. So it's the basic construction. What I am going to do now, well, I've actually already done, so you don't have to watch me collage my cover. What I would do next is collage the front and back covers, or decide what you want to do with your cover. If you want to leave it a paper bag, if you want to layer the front, all of those decisions are going to determine what you're going to do next. But I wanted to do a collage, and so I've already done that, and so actually before you collage, if you're like me, I like the vintage look, so you might want to ink your edges before you do anything else, and then collage, or ink your edges and layer your cover. I usually, most of my journals I do the cover last. With this one I do it first, and the reason for that is because of the sewing. So this one I've already inked the edges. I've already, this one is even coffee stained. This one is not. Since I collaged it and I'm putting paper on the inside, you'll never be able to tell that it's coffee stained. It doesn't have to be. So you can see this is the back. I've collaged the back. The front is collaged, and the only thing I have not done is put the book plate on here, and I am going to do this last. I don't want it to be in the way when I'm sewing, so that's why that's not on there. But the reason I want to sew now is because I want to sew all 4 edges, but I want to leave this open as a pocket. So I'm going to sew around, not through. I'm going to sew around, and I'm going to do that now, so I'll be right back so you can see what I did, and then we'll go from there. So if you hang on, I'll be right back. All right, so I did a quick straight stitch all the way around. So you can see I left the opening there, and I'm going to trim off my threads. If you don't want to sew, you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. You don't need to sew anything. That's my personal preference, but that's just my preference. You don't have to do that. Sewing is not required. because it'll hold together fine without sewing. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my glue stick, and I'm going to glue the gusset all the way around, and you make sure that it's nice and secure. And I'm using glue stick for this because it dries fast, and I'm going to sew over this anyway, so it doesn't need to be glued too carefully. You can see on my other example, this is open. I'm just going to glue the whole thing, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Because it'll, you know, just in case, you know, when I sew around the edges, you can see that the bag is not completely even on the edges. That way when I'm sewing, if it does, maybe, you know, doesn't catch quite right here, that it won't come loose, or, you know, bag too much. And for me especially, why that's important is because of this pocket. I want to make sure this pocket is not too loose. I don't want to have to worry about things falling out of the pocket. So I'm going to you know, let that dry, and let this one dry before I sew. Don't want to gunk up my sewing machine. But while I'm waiting for that to dry, what I'm going to do is put paper on the inside. If you don't want to put paper on the inside, you want to leave it, you know, looking rustic with a paper bag, you can do that. That's not a problem. If you want to use fabric, or you know, collage, or make a pocket, or whatever, lots of options. There are always options with junk journaling, right? So what I did, I've already pre-cut my papers, and they are going to go, I'm just going to glue them on here, one over here. And so this one is not quite as long because it's going to be inside the pocket. Then I made a piece, cut a piece to go here, and another piece to go here, just like that. And what I'm doing is just inking the edges real fast, so that since the rest of the journal is going to be vintage, I want this to be vintage as well, or to look vintage, right? A lot of the pages in the journal are actual vintage, but the bag is not. I just bought it at Amazon. The paper's not. I just bought it at Tuesday morning. But I thought this was really a cute print for this journal. I'm going to be doing a sunflower and bumblebee theme. And this paper is such a pretty color. This golden yellow is perfect. It is reversible, and I like both sides, but I'm going to go with the flowers on this one right now, and I'm going to use the other side for something later. So the first piece that I cut is 5 3/4 inches by 4 3/8, and I'm just going to glue that on here. And for this, for the gluing, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. That way, if when I sew around, if it doesn't, catch all the way around on, well, just two sides on this piece, it'll be okay. Fabri-Tac will hold well. And this is just going to go here. And I am leaving a gap of about an inch between one piece of the cardstock and the other. I'm going to put this one in here like that. I'm going to leave a gap so that when I put my signature in there, it will be, I won't, the paper won't get in the way. The paper bag will be nice and, kind of curl around nicely around that. I am going to reinforce it, just not with cardstock. So I'm going to put this one over here, make sure that I'm leaving a nice gap there. And then over on my little pocket on the side, same thing. I'm going to add, this piece is 1 inch by 4 3/8, I believe. And this is the same size. And I'm just going to put that down right there. So you can see this side, this is open here, and I'm going to sew it down, but it'll still have that nice pocket, and then this will be closed as well. So the glue still needs to dry before I sew, but that'll be ready to go in just a minute. So now on the spine, both the inside and the outside of the spine, I am going to put some fabric so that it is reinforced. Darn it, I was hoping this would be the right size without having to cut the other direction, but it's too short. So I want my fabric to be about 1 inch wide and 4.5 or so inches tall. So I'm just going to tear it, kind of keep with the rustic, vintagey kind of look. And I want 2 pieces. They don't have to be the same fabric. If you don't want to use the same fabric, you don't have to. But this is what I have handy, and this is already I coffee stained it. It doesn't have to be coffee stained, but this one I did coffee stain. So that's going to go on one side, and I'm going to do another one for the inside. And they'll be the same size. And I like to have, a little bit of a fringed or frayed edge over the top of, kind of going just a little bit over the top of the edge of my spine there. So that one's going to go on the outside, and this one is going to go on the inside. So I know some people like to sew their fabric. I don't want to for this one. I would rather sew it and then glue the reinforcement on. So that's what I'm going to do. The glue should be plenty dry by now. And so I'm going to sew around 3 edges, obviously. We've already sewn this one, right? And created a pocket here. I don't want to sew over that side again, because then it will close the pocket. So I'm going to sew around just the 3 edges, and then we'll reinforce the spine, and then we're almost done with the cover. So I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back after sewing around the 3 edges, leaving the 4th open, like I said earlier, for a pocket. So we have a pocket right here. And you know, plenty of room in the pocket for multiple things, but not so wide and gaping that stuff will fall out. So you can see it's going to hold stuff pretty well. Excuse me, Lizzie, out of the way. So the pocket here, tuck spot here, and room for our signature to go in the middle, and almost done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for the spine. And what I like to do, the way I like to do this, is to put the glue down, squirt it on there. But we don't want seepage, right? So you have to be careful. One way to avoid seepage is to smear it around, and then I'll put my fabric on there and just lightly press it down. And you can see it didn't seep through at all, but it's on there pretty well. I might need to put a little bit more here on the side. Put a little bit, just a little extra there. Make sure that it's not gloppy, and press it down. Left side looks good. And now for the outside, I'm going to do the same thing. So unfortunately, I'm going to be covering up some of my collaging, but that's okay. I left a gap, but not a big one here. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to put the glue on and then smear it just using my finger so it's not gloppy, and put on my spine reinforcement on there. And looks like I have a little trimming I need to do. Try to get some of that glue off my fingers. I hate having glue on my hands. It looks pretty good, I think. And so that's really all you need to do for the cover. Very simple cover. The spine will allow you to put, there's plenty of room there for your signature. And I've started my signature, but I haven't finished it. And you can see I have about 20 pieces of paper here, lots of book pages. Here's a Franken page, some coffee stained paper. See, here's the same paper as here. Some vintage music, page from a bee book. Here's a page from a sunflower book, some vintage composition notebook. and just all sorts of, it's a map of North Dakota. Since North Dakota grows more sunflowers than any other state, I thought that was appropriate. There's some bee paper and just all sorts of things all ready to start embellishing. And there's the center of my signature. You can see there's plenty of room for even more. May need to trim a little bit on the edges. For the papers on the inside, I would recommend just one signature, one fairly full signature. Your papers will need to be about 4 inches tall and about 11 3/4 inches long, and then fold them in half. Or you can see on this one, my papers are all different sizes. As long as they fit inside when I'm done, that's all I need to worry about. And so you can see a little bit right here I need to trim before I sew it in. For the closure, on my exemplar over here, I just did a wrap closure. I don't think you even need to have a closure, or you can maybe do an eyelet with a string and wrap around this way, but I wrapped going the other direction. So that's it, seriously. Easy peasy. And now I'm ready to embellish this one. And actually, before we go, I think I will add my book plate so the cover is completely done. And make sure my brads are both the same color. Excuse me, Lizzie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brads through the paper so that the backs are through the holes like this, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, using my awl to punch through. Make sure those prongs are nice and flat. I use the bottom flat edge of my awl like this, and then I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. Just want to make sure I had the right side going up before I glue it down. I'm not going to put anything else in the book plate at the moment anyway. But I'm going to put that right here in the middle. And press that down. If you wanted to, you could easily put the brads through the paper bag, and maybe put it behind the cardstock. The reason I don't do that though is because I want to be able to use the pocket and not have to worry about my tags getting caught on the brads. And so this way, the Fabri-Tac is definitely strong enough to hold. It won't come off, but the brads are underneath, and they're not going to be underneath my little piece of cardstock here. So I still have a lot of work to do. I have some tags to make and some cards to make, some embellishing to do, but have a good start on my next little journal. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you take the time to make one of these adorable little journals. And if you do, take a picture and share it with us on our Facebook page. That would be awesome. Don't forget, our Etsy shop currently is having a sale on all Christmas goods through the end of July, July 2020. So you still have another week and a half or so. We have tons of things, journals and gift sets and all sorts of fun things, even some ornaments, some quilted ornaments and home decor. Both Betsy and I have been really busy making Christmas things. So check out our Etsy shop and maybe get a head start on your Christmas shopping. So once again, thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We love our subscribers and we have giveaways often. We just had one, in fact, last week. And so we're very appreciative of you, and please leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up if you like the project, and have a great, great rest of your week. Bye-bye, everybody.